In 9 years, I hired over 30 salespeople to close real estate deals for me. Today, I have 0. I didn't lose them. I didn't run out of money to pay them. I fired every last one of them on purpose because the people I hired to grow my business were also secretly the ones trying to kill it. And I mean that. One of them stole $300,000 in deals right out from under my nose. Another one took everything that I taught her and opened a competing business. And another one cost me my best friend of 20 years. My highest paid closer ever, that guy, the best I ever had, the one who still holds the company record, was doing something behind my back so ugly and disgusting that I still have trouble saying it out loud. But I'm going to tell it to you today in this video. 30 times I handed the most important job in my company to someone else. And every one of these stories that I'm going to tell you today taught me the same lesson. The one that nobody selling you on Build a Sales Team will ever tell you. Stay with me, because if you think hiring salespeople is how you finally get free, these 3 stories are going to change your mind. Quick catch up. If you're new here, I run a U.S. real estate business from Bangkok, Thailand. We buy houses and wholesale houses. For 9 years, I tried to scale it the way everybody else tells you to. Hire acquisitions reps, put them on the phone, take yourself out of the sales seat. In the last video, I told you how 1 acquisitions rep and 1 lawsuit put my company into bankruptcy. And that's the setup for this one. That video's right up here. I'll connect it all before the end. Here's what almost everybody believes and what I believed for almost 10 years. The way to get free is to hire salespeople so you don't have to sell. Build the team, step back, collect the money. I did exactly that more than 30 times. But what those hires actually taught me is the opposite of what I was sold. So I'm going to walk you through 3 of them today. From the one that broke my heart to the one that cost me the most, to the one that I still can't fully explain. And then I'll tell you the 1 seat in your business that you should never hand to anyone and what I used to run my company with instead of giving away that seat. Before these stories, you need to see the pattern because it's so normal you won't even flinch. You see, I'd get busy, too many leads, not enough hours, and I'm the only one person that can call them. So I started hiring people to take the seller calls. And for a few weeks, even months, it felt incredible. Someone else on the phones, some of my time back. But then something would break. A deal would go sideways. A promise I'd never have made. Some seller saying that we had misled them. So I'd step back in, I'd fix it, and tell myself the next hire would be the one who finally gets it. Then I'd do it again. Over 9 years, I have over 30 hires. Here's what it took me a decade to admit. If you hand the same job to 30 people and it breaks 30 different ways, the problem isn't the people, it's the job. Some seats you can't hand off. But I couldn't see that yet because the first person I handed it to was someone I trusted more than almost anyone on earth. The first person I ever hired to sell for me was the wife of my best friend of 20 years. She was doing door-to-door roof sales at the time when I met her. I brought her in, I taught her everything I knew about real estate. Everything. And she was good. No, she was great. In 1 year, she tripled her income. She made $165,000 working for me. At the end of her 2nd year, she quit. But it's what came next that actually got me. She took everything I taught her and opened a competing business right in my market. And my best friend of 20 years, her husband, he stopped talking to me. Just like that. A hire cost me a friendship that I'd had for 2 decades. That was the first time I learned a lesson that every one of these stories would beat into me deeper and deeper. You see, you can pour your entire heart and soul into someone and it buys you nothing. No loyalty, not gratitude, not even a goodbye. I thought I was building a team member, but I was actually just training my own competition and paying for the privilege with a 20-year friendship. So I did what I always did. I told myself, oh, she's just the exception, and I went looking for the next hire. But the next one didn't break my heart. She emptied my bank account. My next hire came from inside the company. You see, she'd been working for me, answering phones and doing a great job. So I taught her acquisitions. She had the skills. She was great with people and super motivated. But here's the strange part. Same leads, same opportunity as my other salesperson, and she was 50% less effective. Half the results from the exact same shot on goal. Around the time I figured that out, she came to me with an ultimatum. Pay me more commission or I'm gone. So I told her to kick rocks. And kick rocks she did. But on the way out, she found a back door into my leads database. That database was built with almost $1 million in ad spend at that time. It was one of my most valuable things in my company. She downloaded the entire leads list, and over the next year, she used my leads to steal 20 deals from us. That cost my company around $300,000. Here's the lesson, and I call it the commission curtain. A commission salesperson and the owner want two different things. The rep wants the biggest check this month. You, as a company owner, want the company to be alive in 5 years. When those line up, everything looks fine. When they don't, the rep makes the choice that's good for them, behind a curtain that you can't see through. But you don't just lose a deal when that happens. As I found out, you can lose the most expensive thing you own. So I told myself the fix was to hire better, someone with real character, So next time, I hired a guy that I met at church, and he became the best salesman I ever had. Yeah, I met him at church. Genuinely, he seemed like one of the good ones. He was working for a cell phone company when I met him, and I taught him everything about real estate, same as the others. But this time, it looked like it finally worked. He tripled his income in a year, and he became the highest paid salesperson that I've had to date. Nobody has beaten his record. On paper, his hire was the best decision I ever made. So here's the question that should scare every business owner watching. If your very best performer, your top closer, the one printing money for you, was doing something terrible behind your back, how would you even know? Because you're looking at the numbers, and his numbers are perfect. For a long time, I had no idea anything was wrong. The curtain was up. The numbers were great. I was living in Puerto Rico on the beach, grateful I had finally found a good one. But then things started to surface. Some of what he was doing turned out to be deeply unethical, enough that I had to let him go. So I fired my record holder, the best one I ever had, and I thought that was the end of it. But it wasn't. After I fired him, I found out he had sent about 200 text messages to the woman I was dating at the time. 200! He was literally trying to seduce my girlfriend. Naked photos and all. The best closer I ever hired, the guy from church, was using the trust I gave him to try to blow up my personal life. That's when it stopped being about hiring better. 3 people, someone I love like family, a trusted employee, and my best performer. 3 completely different people, 3 completely different disasters, and every single one of them had one thing in common. That one thing they had in common was me. Every time I had taken the single most important activity in my company, talking to sellers, and handed it to a stranger, every time I had walked away and called that freedom. Here's what I finally understood. Every business has jobs you can hand off, and the one job that you can't hand off, that's the business. For me, the seller conversation isn't a task. It's a heartbeat. It's where trust gets built, and it's where my reputation lives or dies. Everything else is downstream of that. I call it the heartbeat seat. And here's the rule I wish someone had branded into me 9 years ago and 30 hires ago. You can outsource almost anything, but the moment you hand off the heartbeat, you go blind. And build a sales team so you don't have to sell tells you exactly to do that. And to call it freedom. So, the advice isn't just wrong, it's backwards. Taking myself out of the sales seat didn't make me free, it made me blind. And a blind owner isn't free, a blind owner is just exposed, and they don't know it yet. And then came the final straw. You actually saw it in the last video. A lawsuit, federal court, my company in bankruptcy just to survive it. The details, legally I can't get into that, but here's the connection and the whole point. That exposure grew in the same blind spot all three of these people lived in. The distance between me and the heartbeat seat. I should never have left. So the lawsuit didn't teach me a new lesson. It was the fourth time the same lesson showed up. And this time, it nearly killed the company. That's when I finally asked the real question. Not, how do I hire better? The real one is, why do I have an acquisitions team at all? So I did the thing that on paper looks insane. I fired everybody. I let them all go. Not because I couldn't afford them, because that's the part that people can't wrap their head around. I didn't fire my salespeople because the business was broke. I fired them because I finally understood that every seat I'd filled with another person standing between me and the heartbeat of my company was a curtain and a blind spot. Another 20-year friendship, $300,000, or 200 text messages just waiting to happen. But here's what nobody warns you about a decision like that. The scary part isn't the day that you do it, it's the quiet afterward. No team, no excuses. If a deal breaks now, there's one place to look. When I first started talking to sellers again, I felt a little rusty. So I actually went out and I built an AI tool that actually coaches me on every sales call I make to realign me constantly with all my old sales principles and training. All of that was working great. But going from 6 salespeople down to just me, I braced for the business to shrink. And in one way it did. Fewer people, smaller operation on paper. But what happened to my actual life is the reason that I'm making this video. Remember in the last video I said I thought I'd built a freedom machine and I was wrong. Here's the finish to that thought. I used to think freedom was a business with enough people in it that I didn't have to be in charge of everything. Now I know that freedom is a business small enough and clean enough that I can see all the way through it. No curtains. Now I make the calls. I have amazing systems and automated follow-ups. I know I'm following the TTPA rules. And I'm being honest with sellers and with myself. I didn't replace 30 people with 30 better people. I replaced them with something that can't take the leads out the back door, can't blow up my personal life, and can't hand me a lawsuit that I never saw coming. Me in the seat with a system that I control. Revenue is never the problem. Every one of those hires could make money, but a business that makes money can still be blind, fragile, and one hire away from a disaster. So a real freedom machine isn't the one with the most people in it. It's the one you can run with your eyes open. I built something that can make money. I hadn't built something I could see through. Those are not the same thing. And the difference cost me a friendship, a couple $100,000, and almost my entire company. So would I tell you to never hire a salesperson? No. But I tell you this, know which seat is your heartbeat before you hand it to anyone, because you can't see what happens behind a curtain. And what happens back there can cost you your money, your friendships, your peace of mind. Get in your own seat. Build something you can see all the way through. That's the machine that sets you free. If you're getting value out of content like this, please like, subscribe, and share it with everyone you know. It helps me out a ton, and I really, really appreciate it. And if you think my own employees were the wildest part of running a wholesale business, wait until you hear about the lady who taught me that cat pee smells like money. That's right. In my next episode, I'm going to tell you about a few of the craziest sellers that I ever encountered and how they taught me so much about making money. See you then.